Despite being seemingly very one-off and unimportant characters to FNaF's story, the toy animatronics from Five Nights at Freddy's 2 have plenty of theory debates surrounding them. Obviously there's stuff like which one did the bite of 87, but there's a much more interesting debate regarding this set of animatronics that I want to discuss today. That being, are the toy animatronics possessed or not? This is a debate that has been happening ever since FNaF 2's release, with tons of arguments and evidence for both sides. This question is actually something I myself have wondered for a long time, and my opinions have also shifted on it over time. And so, in the spirit of my last video in this format, which I guess means this is now a series on my channel, I want to do another video in this style, where I break down all of the evidence for both sides of the argument, as well as providing my own, personal, not canon opinion on the subject. This debate is also a lot more complicated than the one from my previous video, so buckle up, as we have a lot to discuss. But without wasting any more time, let's dive right into this debate. Before we start going over all of the evidence, I first want to actually define what a toy animatronic actually is, as I've seen this definition extend anywhere from Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, Toy Chica, and Mangle, to Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, Toy Chica, Mangle, BB, JJ, the Puppet, and Shadow Bonnie of all characters. So I think a definition of what makes a toy animatronic is important for this discussion. My definition of a toy animatronic is an animatronic that is made of plastic and contains various stylized features, such as rosy cheeks and big smiles. I think this definition works pretty well, as if I were to remove or change certain parts, you could argue that the Fun Times, Music Man, or even something like Scrap Baby technically count as toy animatronics. So I want to make this definition as strict as I could. With that said, under this definition, the toy animatronics we'll be discussing today are Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, Toy Chica, Mangle, BB, and JJ. One thing I think I should clarify is that, in this debate, if the toy animatronics are possessed, they are most likely possessed by the victims of Save Them, as no other group of dead kids really makes sense. Definitions and stuff out of the way, let's break down the first side of evidence. The first side of this argument that I want to talk about is that the toy animatronics are possessed, as I think it simply just makes more sense. The first piece of evidence for this side is, well, simply the existence of the Save Them victims, as most people simply put two and two together and say, well, if we have a set of animatronics that move around at night, and a set of dead kids, then they probably must possess those animatronics. This line of thinking makes sense, but you should know by now that it's not going to be that easy. Although the evidence isn't done yet. Another piece of evidence for the toys being possessed is their erratic nature and mannerisms. Toy Freddy and Toy Chica gain black eyes when they become active, just like the FNaF 1 crew, who we know are possessed. Toy Bonnie stares directly at the camera on multiple occasions, and Mangle in general just acts very erratic. And their jump scare is absolutely insane, like I don't know how they can't be possessed by an angry kid if that's their jump scare. Phone Guy also has a line from FNaF 2's phone calls, stating that the reason that the toys are acting weird is because of a glitch in their system, although people on this side often discredit this as just being something management told Phone Guy to say to cover things up. Additionally, assuming the toy animatronics aren't possessed, what is their motivation for attacking us? We're not an intruder, we pose no threat to them, and unless we happen to just look very similar to someone in the criminal database or are secretly a criminal ourselves, it wouldn't really make sense for them to be attacking us unless they were possessed. Not to mention, there being 5 dead bodies and a 6th bloodstain, implying 6 victims, would perfectly line up with the animatronics we're talking about in this video. For our last two pieces of evidence, we have Phone Guy mentioning that the restaurant is under investigation, and that someone used a yellow suit, which can really only mean one thing. And that's all the evidence for the toys being possessed. Overall, a pretty strong showing. Let's see how the other side of this debate combats it. People who think the toys aren't possessed often argue that their erratic behavior is simply due to their facial recognition software being faulty, or possibly tampered with by William Afton. I could see how this makes sense, as after all, being night guard does put someone in a position where they could easily discover William's crimes, but as I said earlier, Phone Guy is not a reliable narrator given his bias towards the company, and the higher-ups being able to tell him to say whatever they want him to in order to divert suspicion. This is pretty much the biggest claim that this side of the argument has, that the toys are not possessed robots looking for revenge, but rather just malfunctioning AI. While this would fit in with Fazbear Entertainment's history of being really cheap, stuff like the black eyes just is not addressed under this idea. Another piece of evidence for this side is that since we play as Michael Afton on night 7, who is stated to look just like his dad, this would probably confuse the toy animatronics into attacking us, since the two look so similar. However, obviously this fails to address the first 6 nights, where we play as Jeremy Fitzgerald, although I will give this side a bit of charity and say it's possible that Jeremy also looks like a criminal in the database. Some more evidence I thought of is that BB, JJ, and Mangle can't really be possessed, at least not in the classic FNaF way of being stuffed inside the character, since, well, you know. That being said, it's still possible that these characters are just infected by agony, which is a concept from the books that I'm not going over here. There's plenty of videos on it. And now, with all of the evidence laid out for both sides, what do I think? Do I think the toy animatronics are possessed, or simply just corrupted? Well, in an earth-shattering, jaw-dropping, extremely shocking turn of events, I'm going to drop an absolutely scorching hot take and say, yeah, they're possessed. Yeah, my opinion on this debate isn't very shocking or anything. I, like many others, simply just think the toys are possessed. Between the overwhelming amount of evidence for them being possessed, and the overwhelmingly small amount of evidence that they're just corrupted, I think it's pretty clear that the toys are indeed possessed. However, just like the last video, there's still one major question we need to answer. That being, if the toys are possessed, where's their happiest day? We never see it happen, and it's not like they were present in the FNaF 3 happiest day, so what happened? Well, to understand that, all we need to do is just look at the FNaF 3 office. Seems pretty normal, right? Until you look at the box of parts on the left side, which seemingly contains parts of all 6 toy animatronics, although we don't get a look at the full contents of the box. And since we all know that Fazbear's Fright was burnt down during FNaF 3, I think it's pretty clear what happened. Years after the pizzeria was shut down, the spirits haunting the toy animatronics still linger around with their plastic shells, as their souls haven't been freed yet, only for the place they're in to be burnt down, freeing their souls. And that's all for this video. Let me know what you guys think about the toy animatronics' potential possession, and let me know if you enjoy this format of video and want to see more like it in the future. Also be sure to check out my new channel Super Slow in the description, where I post weekly unscripted videos on whatever I feel like. But anyways, that's all from me. I'm Supersonic, like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.